Hey guys, welcome back to Words from Reagan. I'm currently in the process of finalizing the set for my podcast. So hopefully within the next week or two, it should be all done and then we'll have video podcasts. So who knows, maybe next week I will have a video podcast for you guys. It's just going to be a YouTube channel, and if you just like to listen to audio, then you have that option of like Spotify and whatever it is available on now. So obviously I've been IMA for the past couple weeks on my platform. Recently I've just been so overwhelmed with second guessing everything about my schooling, like my major and wanting to transfer schools. And then I was eventually looking at semester at sea, like study abroad programs. So I've been all over it the past couple weeks. So that consumed my every thought, and that's kind of what inspired today's episode. So today we're going to be talking about what to do when you feel lost, overwhelmed, or like you're falling behind in life. In the mix of trying to figure out myself right now and the years ahead, I always try to work towards my future, working a lot to save money, researching colleges, applying for internships, building connections and relationships. However, oftentimes we do this that only leave us stressed, confused, and overwhelmed in life. We do this in high school, trying to figure out what college we want to go to and what we want to go for. We do this when we try and get closure from someone or something. We do this when wanting to move cities and don't know which one will suit us. We do this a lot in life that we don't see. I always tell myself to take a step back and breathe. Why? Because all you need to have figured out is right now, not tomorrow, not in a year or 5. I've talked about this before on my podcast, but resorting back to the 5-year plan, it's impossible to have a 5-year plan because time, people, and places change every day. Yes, you can create one, but I guarantee you that things you don't expect will happen in that 5-year plan. We stress ourselves out so much over trying to figure out the future and what we want to do with our lives that we put so much energy into the future. We give our energy from right now in the present moment to a time that we're not even guaranteed. I think that it's great to look ahead before making a decision to see if it could be good or bad for you down the line, but to sit there and exhaust your thoughts and energy to something that leaves you in confusion is just creating your own suffering. We've all done this in some aspect of our lives: love, jobs, relationships, school. For me, most recently, that was school. I wasn't happy with staying at home and attending my community college, so I was thinking about maybe transferring to a 4-year university or studying abroad. I put days worth of energy into this idea that I couldn't even enjoy the present moment, which is all I was guaranteed. So I told myself, take a step back because all we have to have figured out is right now. And you might be asking, okay, well, I have taken a step back and my mind is eased, but how do I figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life? The answer to that is figure out what you don't want to do first. Take a couple classes to see what interests you and doesn't. Maybe that 9 to 5 isn't working for you. Maybe you move from city to the country or from the mountains to the ocean. Same way we create our standards and find our needs. We experience them. We know we don't want to be with somebody who is immature because we've been there. We know we don't want to be with somebody who we can't trust because we've been cheated on. We know we want to be with somebody who makes us their first choice because we've been someone's second choice. We have experienced the pain and we know we do not want to go back and experience these things again. So from there, we create our standards and needs. Now put this into a life aspect. You are going to fail in jobs, situations, classes, and relationships, and from there, you learn from it. Your path isn't going to be this gate that just opens up and it's like, welcome home with everything that was made for you. No, you have to work towards those things. You experience failure to understand the feeling of success. You experience rejection to understand the feeling of being chosen. You experience hardships to understand better days. Just as you experience disinterest to understand what interests you. 80% of college students change their major at least once. The average person has around 8 jobs before finding the one that best suits them. The average person has around 6 relationships before finding their person. You see, without trial, we would never know what isn't right for us. It is because of trial and error, because of failure and rejection, that we find our purpose. Life isn't supposed to be a straight path. There are twists and turns, ups and downs, but at the end of the day, the path always leads to the right spot. I follow this guy on Instagram named Rob Lorenzo. He is an ESPN photographer. He worked for ESPN Cleveland and then ventured to most recently New York for ESPN. He takes photographs at sporting events and media. And he posted this the other day that I think he said it the best, so I figured I would just read it to you guys. Figure out what you don't want to do first. I went through so many jobs and classes in college and ultimately figured it out. I didn't love what I did. I didn't love the idea of doing whatever it was that I was doing at the time. Whether it was working in a factory or trying to figure out which credits would ultimately transfer after my community college to the University of Toledo. I wasn't learning what I needed at the rate that I wanted to learn. I wasn't dialed in on one career idea, I wanted multiple. I found out what I didn't want to do in order to get where I am. Over time, things change, ultimately people change. What used to make me happy doesn't necessarily make me happy anymore, and that's okay. However, I think I'm going to figure out what I don't love, all over again. I don't love shooting every sporting event every night. I don't love making everything work on everyone else's time. I don't love a lot what I used to, but I'm really excited for that. I don't want to be for everyone. I don't want to be everything. I found that I love what I'm doing. So I thought I was just sort of in there. I really liked the way he said it, and I really related to it with my community college. But anyway, going back to just the entitle of finding what is right for you and what isn't by finding the things that aren't right for you first. We experience things in life to know what is made for us. So if you're struggling with finding what you want to do with the rest of your life, whether that's a career, a passion, or a relationship, find what you do not want to do. And to do this, you have to push yourself to do more. Say yes when you usually say no. Attend that group you've been pushing off. Take some extra classes. Sign up for that program you've been talking about. Take that girl out on the date. Lessons in life come from experiences. Yes, you can go by what other people tell you. Don't go to that college, it's a waste of money. Don't move to that city, it's too populated. Don't work to that company, the manager's a bitch. Don't go to school for that position makes shit. If you live your life based on what others tell you, you are living a life for others, not yourself. And who knows? Maybe that school didn't work for them, but it's the best thing that has ever happened to you. Maybe that person didn't click with the manager, but you did, and you're the happiest you've been in a while. Maybe that city brings out the best in you, and for them, it just wasn't right. Only you know yourself as well as you do. Everyone's personality, interests, timelines, and path is different. What didn't work for them might work for you, and what didn't work for you might work for them. Take others' advice, but don't let it stop you from finding your purpose. So in order to define what is and isn't for you, you need to jump around, visit places, work multiple jobs, read several books, and more. How are you supposed to know what is or isn't for you if you don't try those things? Maybe it isn't made for you, okay? Great. You can add one more thing onto the list, that things that don't interest you and you know that you don't want to do with the rest of your life instead of looking at it as a failure. I don't know about you, but I would rather look back on my life and regret what I did than what I didn't do. Why? Because if you didn't do it, how are you supposed to know what would have happened if you did? We often let our minds stop us before we do something because we're scared of a certain outcome, so we just sit back and question, what if? Sometimes you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone to find your people, to find your passion, and your experience. Yeah, the future is unknown, and that is scary, but we have to train our mind to know that things will work out. Just because you're stressing right now about what you want to do with your life doesn't mean your life will remain from this. And part of that confusion and stress comes from ourselves. We focus so much on the problem that we end up exhausting everything. Don't be the reason for your own suffering. Take a step back, breathe. Focus on right now. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to better myself for tomorrow? What can I do right now to work towards my future? All you need to have figured out is right now. And when you're stuck, that should ultimately be when you're taking action. Try some first, maybe some things that scare you or that you've been pushing off. Maybe some of those things you thought would scare you would end up being the things that were made for you. Go into those things with an open mind and an open heart. If it doesn't work out, no problem. You will add it to the list of things you do not want to do with your life, and then you're one step closer to finding the things that is. Tomorrow is a new day, and you can start all over again tomorrow. So remember, figure out what you don't want to do first. From there, you'll find your hobbies, your passion, interests in people. Life will knock you down, but it is up to you to learn from those experiences. Learn from the failure, learn from the rejection, learn from the heartbreak. Learn from those things what is and what isn't right for you. Keep your head held high, walk into new experiences with confidence and an open heart. When you put the work towards those things, you're one step closer to finding and experiencing those things. Whereas you just sitting back and holding on to hope that things would just fall into place magically. So I give you guys a little challenge this week. Go out this week and do something that you've been pushing off or that you're scared to do, whether that's asking someone on a date, applying for that job, applying for that school maybe, or asking that question. And from it, once you do it, reflect. Maybe it's the step in the right direction. Maybe you thought they'd say no, but they said yes. Maybe you leave that job that you dislike right now for a better opportunity that comes your way. Maybe this is the time you get what you've been hoping for. And if not, you're one step closer to getting it. So I just give you guys a little challenge. Think of something, brainstorm something that you've been wanting to do or ask that you've been pushing off because you're scared to do. And who knows? Maybe that might be the time that you get your answer. So thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. I will see you guys next week, and I will have an answer again for a video podcast, if not that actual video. So I will see you guys next Thursday with another one. Bye, guys.